right, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Look at that.
Look
How's
at
it going? Hi.
We're doing the thing.
Yes.
Here we are.
We're setting up.
But I'm too tall.
Oh, but look at that. Well, even though we were super early, I didn't get to do a camera test or a lighting test with me. So yeah, look at that. Wow. Amazing. We're learning things all the time. Maybe it's just no, not that one. This
I'm
one.
just gonna sit here and you're gonna adjust it.
All right. Well, this is like a Facebook exclusive. Camera
Can you just
setting up.
Tilt it up a little.
Oh yes.
Okay.
That's what she said.
Oh.
Hey.
Oh. It's Mother's Day.
Can't crack a joke on Mother's Day.
I don't know.
Mothers aren't into jokes.
And you're a little taller than me. I think that
yeah.
that looks pretty good.
Does that look pretty good?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Facebook? Thumbs up if this looks acceptable.
Heart icons if you like it.
That's
Little
right.
heart
Angry
emoticons.
faces.
I'm moving the mouse out of my view, though.
There you go.
No, you can't see the mouse on your side, but
That's
I can
right.
see
So
it.
we're just going to make sure this is running. All the little things you have to do.
There's a lot of tech
starts.
happening here in our bedroom. Did you know that we record this in our bedroom? It doesn't look like it. I had a client today. We were doing a workshop for somebody today, and she said, "Are you in a studio?" And I said, "No, just our bedroom. My bed's right over there. Right there to the left. You can't see it because Chad's blocking me pointing. But
Yes. Instead of making sure our waveforms are gold.
Are they gold, Chad?
We're going to get the... Well, why don't
Are we
you
giving
test
you
out
gold?
some-
I'm talking.
That looks pretty good.
Okay.
I got to say.
Next Sunday, we'll have done all these things beforehand.
Yay.
Hey.
We were in such good shape about setting everything up. Z was like, wow, I even shared the video beforehand.
I know.
Yeah.
I was
it turned
feeling
out to
really
be-
accomplished.
Yeah.
No, never mind.
No, it's
Never
all
mind.
good. It's all good. We're just going to... Things that... Ooh, look at that. Things that you can't see if you're just listening to this. Actually, I'm just going to edit this out. We're actually going to do like a... We're going to do a
Are we
clap.
going to trim it?
Yes, we're going to trim it.
Trim it.
It's Mother's Day. You got to trim it.
Okay. What do you...
Trim your audio.
Right.
Nobody's trimming nowadays. Are you ready?
Okay.
We're gonna do a clap.
Okay.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, boom! Hey, welcome
Hi.
to the Puppet Parent Podcast.
Hey.
Yeah, P3.
What?
I think
What? P cubed. What episode are we on?
this is episode 8.
Episode 8.
Yeah,
This is our 8th week.
we're no longer prime numbers.
2 months.
Episode 8.
2 months in on this fantastical journey.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. We still like each other.
There's that. You ever see the movie Journey to the Fantastic Planets?
Nope.
That's kind of what it feels like.
What is my answer always when you ask me if I've seen that movie?
Well, it was like
Nope.
it was more like a rhetorical question. Like maybe the audience, maybe you have seen it. It's like this French film from the 70s where things got really weird.
Definitely haven't not seen
And
it.
it's about like I missed the opening, but it's like there's these people, like actual humans, but they're on a planet, and there's these giant alien people on the planets that are like highly evolved, and the people are just like naked huddling masses that are like pests to the aliens. And
Why are we talking about this again?
because it's really bad for the humans in this movie, like
Okay.
really bad.
Okay. And it's
yes.
and you're relating our experience to this movie.
Well, you said fantastic, like journey and fantastic in the same sentence, so I was like, oh yeah, that movie. It's animated.
Okay.
And it's
animated.
weird, and it's all, and it's horror, but not. It's like sci-fi,
And it's from the 60s?
60s or 70s, something like that.
70s.
It's weird. It's weird, but I'd highly recommend it.
Okay.
Anyway,
Anyway. I was reminded of a very good movie today when I'm so lucky to have so many amazing friends, and so many people texted me today with wonderful messages of Happy Mother's Day. And if you are a mother in some capacity in your life, either a mother to a human, a mother to a fur baby, or just a mothering soul, I wish you a Happy Mother's Day. What?
no, just when you know what, when you say things from the internet out loud, it's like. It's okay. I don't think I've ever heard anybody actually say fur baby out loud.
That's what people say.
If you shorten it, you could say Furby, and maybe that would be more acceptable.
No, that's a different thing. That's a weird toy
Yes.
that creeps
You have to take
people
care
out.
of it, and pay attention to it.
Anyway,
And
I was trying to deliver
make
sweet
weird
messages.
noises.
It's Mother's Day, and I'm trying to deliver a sweet message. So happy Mother's Day to everybody. And when I was getting all these lovely messages from people, thank you so much. A lot of them were these adorable gifts, and so I was feeling like I need to up my gift game. And I found a gift that reminded me of that great movie, and now I can't think of the name of it, but it was like Wolf Children.
Wolf Child. Or Wolf Children, I think.
Wolf
yeah.
Children, which is an
that
anime,
movie.
but it's so good. And there's this wonderful gift that I found from that movie that kind of made me feel like, oh yeah, Mother's Day, where it's a mom and she has a child strapped to her front and a child strapped to her back,
That was literally you.
I know. For a long time, and still in some ways is me. So we are continuing to do the schoolwork from home and the shows from home and the workshops from home. And we're so appreciative of our performing partners who are also helping to do the workshops so that we can do some live content every day of the week.
Yeah.
But if you are watching and you have questions for us about what things are like here in New York City as small business owners and somebody who also has a job. I do have a job. I work 32 hours a week for the Jim Henson Foundation as their manager and teaching kids because our kids are not in school right now. Oh my God. So, yeah, if you have any questions, type them up in the comments. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, it's like you can't escape Mother's Day because everybody has a mother. I feel like there's been so many great postings and stories about, the women in people's lives today. It's like, it's amazing. And there's so many amazing puppetry institutions run by women, Last night was the National Slamdemic, the Puppetry Slam, but it's like on a grand national scale, run by the women at IBEX. IBEX Puppetry? Yeah. Jess and Brenna and Pam and with Heather Henson kind of overlording somewhere over the top. And it was it's incredible. There was no Mother's Day pieces, but I want to say because I was running sound for it. I got to tech and help everybody with their streaming issues and sometimes streaming woes.
Right, because there's a lot to learn in a short amount of time with all this stuff, right?
Yeah. And everyone's kind of in the same place, coming from like, oh my God, are we doing this? We're doing this, and sometimes it would be like puppeteer would come into tech and be like, okay, I haven't tried this before, but it seems to be working, and then we had to figure out a couple kinks or bugs or something.
So a Puppet Slam, for those of you who don't know, is a short form evening show of adult work made by adults. So of puppetry. So adult works of puppetry made for and by adults put together in an evening of works. The name is like derivative of Poetry Slam, right? And it was first created either at the Great Arizona Puppet Theater or the Puppet Showplace Theater. I can't remember exactly which one, but it was around the same time that both of those theaters, one in Arizona, Great Arizona Puppet Theater, and Puppet Showplace Theater in Boston, started doing these night evening works of puppetry and calling them Puppet Slams. And then since then, that movement has grown over the decades to then become this kind of vaudevillian touring circuit that you could do. You can go and perform your short slam piece at different puppet slams all over the country. It's pretty awesome. And the Puppet Slam Network is created and funded by Heather Henson, one of the Henson kids, to support these amazing works. And so last night, I'm saying all of that to give you context for what last night was. So last night was the National Puppet Slamdemic. And basically every year, or is every 2 years? I think every year.
I'm not sure.
I think every year they have a National Puppet Slam, which is like a bringing together of all of the greatest late night works from that past year into one amazing evening. And oftentimes that National Puppet Slam is viewed at the National Puppetry Festival that's put on by the Puppeteers of America. Well, this summer We were going to have regional festivals. Those regional festivals were canceled. And, well, at least the ones that I know of have been canceled or postponed. And there was just a need, like a desire to have a puppetry slam. And so, there have been virtual slams, but then this was put together as the national slam with all of the things that always happen, like Bo Brown from the Atlanta area emceeing the event, throwing candy at people, which he usually does in real life. And all of the performances were performed live, regardless of technical issues that might have occurred. They decided to do it live, and that's so cool and risky and awesome. And there were over 500 people that tuned in and watched, and over 2,000 comments on the live slam video. And if you go on to Ibex Puppetry, you can see the National Puppet Slam video, and it's awesome. There's some really great pieces in there and a really great variety of puppetry.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it was kind of crazy and nuts. But yeah, like you said, it was all live, even though there were certain pieces that I feel like, wow, you could have filmed this beforehand, pre-recorded it, done an amazing job, like after 2 or 3 takes, really nailed it down, put the audio together, like tweak the lighting and color maybe afterwards, into this nice, neat little package, and then put it up there as some other slams have done. This was like 100% live, even though, and because I was behind the scenes, we were all in this big Zoom call, all the performers, all the backstage crew, just like a regular slam. Things are going wrong behind the scenes you don't know about because you're just watching the feed on Facebook Live. We're streaming from Zoom to Facebook. And yeah, like things were happening and we're like, oh my God, like why is this happening? Like, so straight up, the first act couldn't get in. And that was because tech went super well. It was super clean and nice, and everything went like it was a gravy, like butter. It was amazing.
So what does that mean? They couldn't get in?
So I'll get to that. So when you join a Zoom call, right? So usually you just have like a bunch of numbers. Join the Zoom call. There's a link auto-generated when you start up a Zoom meeting or a webinar, and then a password because you don't want trolls. So you need to generate a password.
No
too.
Zoom bombing on the National Puppet Slam-demic.
Although I gotta say, Zoom bombing is kind of a thing of the past. I don't read any news stories about Zoom bombing now that they've upped their game and passwords and stuff like that. But anyways, always have a password. Never post your Zoom meeting numbers and password online where people can see it. Only send it in an email.
Oh, I thought Zoom bombing was just like putting in some random numbers and seeing what you get, kind of like roulette.
No, it's more like trolls on certain websites actively scanning the internet, Facebook, etc., to try and find Zooms that they can join in and just spew hateful, vile awfulness just to get a rise out of people, and then record it and then post people's reactions online.
Oh, clearly I have not visited
no, you were never a troll,
places
which is good.
On the internet to see any of that stuff.
I did not seek that out. I just know this is things like before Zoom, right? There were call-in shows. If you're out there and you're a troll and you can call in to like a number on like a web show. Oh, that was happening all the time with like Christian shows that would post their phone number and say, "Hey, call in. It's their Saturday morning show."
But don't they screen these calls?
They do, but that's where acting comes into play,
right.
where you have to be like, "Yeah, man, Jesus, and is amazing," and then you get on the show and you're like, "I love Satan," bah, 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 just to get a rise out of a live show, like a live medium. Like if somebody called me right now, don't call me right now, and got on the show. Something like that's what it's all about. It's more just about getting a rise of people.
So we didn't want any Zoom bombing happening at the National Puppet Slam. Okay, got it.
So the women, all the Ibex women had been working on getting this slam.
Can I do a shout out of last names?
Please.
Okay, Jessica Simon, Brenna Ross, and Pam
Severns. Thank you. When I say the Ibex women, I think everybody in our circle knows who this is.
Yeah, but there are people who are going to listen to this who don't know.
Yeah.
And it's important. Say the names.
Say the names. Say the names. Yeah.
That's right.
So thank you very much to everyone including Brenna Ross, Pam Severns,
And
and
Jessica
Jess Simon.
Simon.
We all together collectively became Zoom experts for this thing to happen. And they did all kinds of research into like StreamYard, and which is not great for streaming live audio, by the way, which is why we did not use it. StreamYard has great lower thirds, but Zoom, it's very easy for one person to stream just music. And if you don't have a great microphone, if you don't have a great system on your end, if you're a slam performer, someone else like me can play your track for you, and then we can go that way. So they're performing live while I'm playing the music, and that's exactly what we did. So we worked all that stuff out in advance. Who's playing the music? Are they playing it on their end? Is their end just amazing and we don't need to do a thing? Do we need to tell somebody, okay, your setup is actually terrible and we need to switch you onto a phone or something? Like, everything's on the table. It's just like when you show up to a slam at a theater and you have like a box of stuff and you're like, this is my show. No one's seen it yet. And they're like, okay, great. Let's talk to our lighting guy, talk to the guy with the piano, and we'll work it out. It's the same thing. So so we actually got done with tech early. We took a break. We're like, this is going so well. This is amazing. No. That was a sign that bad times were coming. No, so
It's funny because I remember seeing you come out of the room like an hour before the show, and you looked so calm. I was thinking to myself, "Gosh, I'm surprised."
Well, we worked really hard,
Well,
and especially
I know.
Brenna and Pam and Jess, and everybody worked super hard to get everything done and out of the way and taken care of. They were so on point and organized.
I'm only yes. Yeah. I was only surprised because it's artists. And it's a lot of technology, and that's all. And by the way, Vanessa Eng, if you were watching, I got your yeast that you mailed to me, and I'm so appreciative, and I will be making bagels and bread and pizza for many days because of your yeast.
Yay.
Love you. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so you got a yeast connection.
Yes, a yeast connection.
A yeast hookup.
Not to be confused with another kind of yeast. This was positive yeast that came to me in the mail. And I'm very happy about it. Thank you.
Yeah. So we all take a dinner break from the Zoom slamdemic. We're like, we got this. No big deal. Come back, kind of saunter back in, like, okay, I'm looking at my iTunes playlist of music, my Finder playlist of sound effects and cues that I'm gonna do. Am I sharing my audio through Zoom? Yes, I am. I'm all set. And then we go 15 minutes before the curtain's supposed to open. We go to share the Zoom video onto Facebook Live, and that option is gone. It's just gone. It's gone.
How does that happen?
I don't know. Nobody knows. It was like, this worked in tech. All the tech days we were streaming to Facebook Live to make sure that that Facebook wouldn't shut down the audio.
Like on a test page?
Mute the audio. Yeah, like on a test page. Our secret test page. And Brenna Ross's just set it on like her regular Facebook page, but set it to private, which you can do.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure this is public. Pretty sure.
There are people watching
So,
it right now.
yeah, no, the thing that got us was in a Zoom meeting, which everyone's used to. It's very easy to set it up to go straight to Facebook. When you do a webinar, things are different in a weird way. It's not just this big, happy love fest where everyone can see each other. No, it's like you have your host and they have ultimate power. And if you want anyone to be seen, to be seen by anyone else in the call, in the webinar, you need to set them as a panelist. Otherwise, they're just an attendee. An attendee can only hear or see what the host wants you to see, but you can't even spotlight someone else's video unless they're a panelist. It's like there's all kinds of things that are just that are just different and weird. So anyway, we were in a webinar for all these Slam tech days, and it worked every time. And then the instant we tried to go online and stream from a Zoom webinar to Facebook Live, that option disappeared, and we were like,
Why?
And
Why?
Four of us, we thought we knew Zoom pretty well. We are all Googling the same thing, coming up with nothing. We kicked everybody out. We tried another Zoom webinar, same thing. Made somebody else the host. No.
So
went onto
weird.
Zoom's own websites, and they're like, shrug, I don't know, ask Facebook. We're like, what? Seriously, this is the best you could come up with.
Oh my gosh.
So we wound up just making a regular old Zoom meeting because it didn't matter. We didn't need to be a webinar, but that's just the way that those cards were dealt. So we just started up a new Zoom meeting, and everybody got in, and we're like, great, okay, we're 15. No, we were 10 minutes late at that point, but we got this. It's okay. I told Jess, it was like, hey, is somebody doing damage control on Facebook Live? Because everyone's going to be like, where is it? And you could hear, I think, Bo's dad in the background being like, where is it? Where is it? He's like, Dad, hold on. It's coming.
Everything's stressful.
Yeah, all of a sudden we're like,
God.
oh, because there was like money's in the bank. And then they tell you that the one check that you cashed, like something's wrong with it. And you're like, what? My money?
Yeah,
No.
hundreds of people are standing by waiting for the thing that everybody was so excited for.
Yeah.
So then they posted on the IBEX page, like, don't worry, guys, we're working on it. And then like all of these comments of love started coming from the puppetry community.
Yeah.
You got this, and puppet show, and like all, it was
so
really sweet.
We were just about to go live, and then we looked through the list of everyone in the call, and we're like, wait a second. Where's Joshua? He's the opening act, and he's not in. And I think Jess was saying, like, he's texting me. He can't get in. Does he have the right numbers? Yes, he has the right numbers. Okay, did you try this password? We changed the password. No, he tried. Yes, he has that password. And it was just this back and forth of just like, he's trying everything. It's failing. What do we do? And it's 15 minutes past when we're supposed to open. I was like, let's just start.
Just start. Yeah.
Just start. And then if he can come in, we'll shuffle him in. And everyone was cool with that. So we start. And immediately Bo Brown, who's the host, starts to introduce Joshua.
No, he did not know.
He didn't know.
Oh no!
He didn't get the memo for whatever reason. And behind the scenes we're like, no, but we can't talk to him because any audio that goes through gets broadcast. So we're furiously typing in the chat, Bo.
Yeah, abort.
And finally somebody physically texted him, and thank goodness he had a phone right there. Because and you can kind of see where he's like, he gives the whole Joshua introduction, and he's just about to say, and here he is, Joshua Holden. Instead he says, here he is. Bzzzt. Oh.
And then he does like a pretend, like, I'm getting word in from the Puppet Slam Network that so if you want to see all of how this actually went down, the stress of it all, go to IBEX Puppetry and watch. And actually, I'll post a link here so that everybody can find them. But if you go onto their, I think I will, IBEX.
Poor Joshua was love you, man. He was so stressed and anxious, and telling us all. He was like about the technology behind it. He had really he put in like a full day to try and figuring out how to stream his phone to his computer and like how the mic situation will work out. And we were like, it doesn't work. Just use your phone. and then when it came time to do it, he was still anxious, and we're like, it's okay, man. Everyone's in chat. We love you. You got this. And then to find that he can't get in is just, I'm sure on his end. I think he said after it, he was like, I just wanted to give up and throw in the towel. But thankfully, he kept trying. And at some point, maybe halfway through the show, he finally got in.
What happened?
I don't know.
Does anybody know?
Nope.
Nobody knows.
Nope.
Okay.
Zoom is like,
it was just
shrug. I don't know.
Crazy.
Could be anything. So he got in, and the decision was made because he's like, I need to know. His whole shtick was he was opening the show, so he had this monologue written about opening the show. Instead, he's not opening the show, and he has to rewrite his monologue. So he's like, I need to know who I'm going next to so I can figure out like what to write. And the decision was made by Brenna, I think, to have him close the show. And everyone afterwards was like, that was the perfect choice. Thank you so much for closing the show. It was perfect. Everyone, like the audience, had no idea that you couldn't get in or anything bad going behind the scenes. Everyone was like, that was perfect.
It was perfect.
It was the best choice for him to close the show. And then once he did close the show and everyone's weeping and crying because he's an amazing performer, we were like, whew, we planned it that way. That's right. Yes, we did it. And thank goodness, because oh man, so it was like a typical slam.
Yes.
In that way, things went wrong.
Yeah.
That you did no control over, and you just get through it, and it was such a great night.
Chad, do you remember your first slam, either that you watched or performed in?
Do I?
Oh no, that was not planned. I need you to know that was not planned.
Well, let me tell you.
Well, that's a great segue to whatever Chad is about to share. You're gonna drop some.
I was gonna say
Drop some nostalgia bombs on us.
So, I would save the slam stuff for next time.
Okay.
Well, I would tell you so. May 16th, 2010.
2010.
Punch.
10
Look at
years
this.
ago.
I'm gonna show the camera this really quick. Look at that. DramaWorks Punch. Way back in the day, 2010. Gretchen, if you're listening, we care about you.
Right.
We performed Davy Crockett in Outer Space to close out the Punch Puppet Slam at the Brick Theater in Williamsburg. The Brick Theater, by the way, is also asking for your support. They're a tiny, tiny little space, which is great for puppet acts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've done a few shows there.
Although the slam was very disorganized, I wrote, and the MC failed to amuse, who screws up a knock-knock joke?
Oh, no.
I wrote. Oh, my God. I don't even know who was hosting that night, but...
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, I was very honest in this journal. The evening went on without a hitch, and we were happy. Afterward, we joined Anna and Tori Vargas for beer and pizza at the Alligator Lounge across the street.
Oh, yeah, Alligator Lounge.
Alligator Lounge, by the way, and Crocodile Lounge in Manhattan. They'll give you a free pizza for every beer you order, which is amazing when you were super poor, like us, a decade ago.
Carbs on carbs.
Yeah. Anna seems to be doing well as P of A president, although she complains that phone meetings are a bore. Anna, nothing has changed.
Well, she's no longer president, but...
I mean, yeah, that's true. But phone meetings are kind of a bore.
Oh, that's nice to know that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, Anna would drive down from her place up in Rockland County.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Somewhere up.
Yeah,
above.
she would lay witness to all the ultra-Orthodox Jews and Hasidim, whichever one it was, taking over, buying out her entire neighborhood, and she was one of the last holdouts.
Really?
Oh yeah, she had many interesting stories about getting like people coming up to her house and just knocking on her door, total strangers. And being like, can I buy your house? And she knew like, okay, here they come, because all of her friends had left because it was just this mass incoming wave of all like this is ours now, and you guys can just deal with it. And that impacted the region in many interesting ways, including some sticky legal ways, because of they basically put themselves, like the religious group would put themselves one at a time onto the school board and then funnel all the school money into their private religious schools. And it became such a big deal that on a federal level, people had to get involved and be like, no.
Wow. I did not know anything about that. But Anna Vargas, if you're watching, we love you. and we perform for the Jewish community all the time, and we love the Jewish community.
Yeah,
and I'm Jewish. So just to throw that out there.
Very rarely do we get to perform for ultra-Orthodox, but we do.
We do sometimes.
They're very awesome people, and their kids are just like any other kids, and it's kind of amazing.
I remember performing for them once when a whole amusement park in Brooklyn, a small amusement park, had been shut down and made available just for this ultra-Orthodox Jewish community, and they watched our shows. But there's certain rules that we always have to remember with those shows, and like things that we can and can't do, and
or can't say, or even just like for a regular Orthodox Jew, like everything is kind of gendered, or the genders are divided in certain situations. So
and everybody practices a little differently. So
I'm generalizing, of course, but that when I go into a gig where it's going to be Orthodox Jews, I'm like, okay, don't try to shake anyone's hand because I can't shake a woman's hand.
Well, now that's not a problem. That will never be a problem again. No one's ever going to shake anyone's hand ever again. So we will never have to worry about that ever. Nope. I can't even imagine like like high-fiving people anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I remember going down the street and wearing a political t-shirt a few years ago when the president that's currently in office was elected, and there was a lot of rallies in the city, and I was going to some of the rallies, and I was wearing a political t-shirt, and I saw this woman walking towards me on the sidewalk wearing a similar shirt.
Nice.
And we just walked past and high-fived and then kept walking. And that's a very New York moment, and I can't imagine things like that happening right now, high-fiving a total stranger, but maybe someday
It's
again.
gonna be someday. I mean, there are still people right now who high five and shake hands and don't wear masks.
Well, I'm not interested in that kind of risky life.
They're out there, and some of them brandishing AK. I read an article today that
Yep.
said we cannot normalize bringing guns to protests, guys. This has to stop.
Well, that's not happening here in New York City, though.
No, thankfully not. But
No.
but still, it's like
And
the
when you're
precedent's being set.
when you're done sharing this, I do want to talk a little bit about what's happening in New York City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is like the fun part.
Okay.
This is like 10 years ago. So you ready?
Yeah, take me back 10 years. It's like Time Hop,
So,
but in real life
last-
with a book.
Last week we talked about,
We're so analog right now.
or was it 2 weeks ago? We talked about performing at the Tribeca Family Festival, because that's where we first saw the Amazing Max.
The Amazing Max.
Who was along with his wife and producer Christine Cox. They guest starred on our podcast last week.
Yes.
So if you haven't listened to that, please go back one episode 7, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. We talk about like magic and the biz and pricing your shows during a quarantine. It's very interesting.
And last week was a tough week, so I was a little like wah, wah last week, I have to admit. But this week was a little bit of an easier week. I feel like we're back into a good groove with
Yeah.
the kids and with the work and with everything. So I'm a little less of a gray rain cloud this
Yay.
week. Yes. So if you were all wondering or feeling sad or nervous for me, that was valid. Those are valid feelings, because I was feeling a lot of sadness and unhappiness about just the whole situation. But
So
I don't know.
I'm gonna
I'm
bring.
feeling better. That's all I'm saying. Feeling better.
So
Yep.
I'm gonna bring to you
Bring
a
to-
learning moment
Oh,
from
gosh.
10 years ago.
I don't know that I want to hear it.
So the Tribeca Family Festival, we performed the show that we developed together, which was one of our first, or maybe our first slam piece,
Yep.
which was Jack and the Beanstalk Part 2.
We were trying to be edgy and funny.
No, I wasn't trying to be edgy and funny. I was just, that's just what came out.
Yeah.
So anyway,
You
Jack and the
gotta
Beanstalk
make
Part
a
2.
lot of art in order to make something good at some point someday. You just gotta keep making stuff. You just,
So here's our teachable moment.
Okay.
So Jack the Beanstalk Part 2 was like Jack goes back to where the giant fell at the end of Jack and the Beanstalk, and he goes down into the giant-sized hole looking for more gold or something, I forget what. Finds the giant who wants revenge.
Sure.
Yeah. Ultimately, there's like a wishing goose or something, and then they wish him small, and then he moves in with them because that's we wanted like a happy ending.
I don't even
So we
remember.
performed this
I
show.
don't even remember this show. It's like so long ago that I have repressed it to the point that it has disappeared out of my memory. Like you're saying all this, and I'm like, that's fascinating. Who did that show? We did? We performed that show? Huh.
So during that show, we're sitting on chairs together, right, just like we are now.
Just like
And Jack was Z's hands.
Yes, that I remember.
We can before each a permanent marker, a couple of eyes, and a smiley mouth on her hand, and she had a little hat, little costume on her hand. It was very amazing. And then I wore this robe, and eventually there was like a yarn beard when I was the giant. But when we were just doing the characters, it would just be like us sitting together, forming landscapes with our arms for the puppets to be on. It was very cool.
I was super inspired by like Hugo and Inez from Peru, and also just feeling, I don't know, that I just wanted to do something that was super portable but different, something nobody'd ever seen before, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I took a picture of you. One time we were going to do a show, and it all packed up into a roller skate case.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And eventually, as we turned the show, we evolved the show. We would bring chairs with us, and like a carpet sometimes. To do like a little bit more of a presentation. You never tell like what chairs you were gonna get at whatever venue, and I was like, I want our chairs.
Yeah.
So anyway, but then it became kind of less portable. So May 15th, 2010. Jack 2 is dead. Long live Jack 1.
Oh.
Gave
that one the kick.
we got feedback. So we performed for a bunch of school kids. We didn't realize at the time how special that group was going to be, but then afterwards we got an earful from the client who was not pleased. Even though the kids like had a great time, the client was not pleased. So I learned a lot. So we got feedback from, I'm going to leave her name out, the organizer for this organization.
Yep.
Who would give free arts and performances to kids. And the results of our Jack 2 shows was not stellar. Apparently the kids were confused by the terminology and story, and the numerous volunteers were concerned with certain words that we used, namely low income and homeless, because the giant in the show, we said that he was like, I'm kind of homeless, because he needed a place to stay.
I don't ever remember using the term low income, but maybe we did. Oh God, we would never do that now. Never.
Well, this is our moment of learning.
10 years
like they
ago.
don't teach you this in puppet school. You know what I mean? So the kids aged 5 through 10 are all from poor families and poor neighborhoods, so they were concerned that they would be upset or saddened by these all too real references. This is something we don't do. We're more on escapism now than like being, real.
Yes.
Rather than fight their perspective, which at the time I was like, well, if you had experience being homeless, maybe like, mention that. Yeah, I was totally wrong. We decided that it was time to make a new show based more on the classic tale. It was sad at first to hear that the first show Z and I conceived was failing at its core audience, but once I got over that, creating a new show became really exciting. By the way, the reason that the feedback from that person was so shocking was that every time we performed Jack 2, the audiences ate it right up. Kids and adults were paying attention and engaged. We performed the new Jack and the Beanstalk show after 1 month of writing, building, and rehearsing. The new piece was simple, repetitive, and much sillier with no big words. The result was
a huge success.
Yay! Both children and adults loved it, and we felt relieved and proud of our new version. I had assumed that person would have had more notes for us, but she only had compliments. So we went back to the same place.
Oh, they had multiple bookings for us. So
Yeah.
we had to show them that we took their concern seriously and that we were going to learn from that and grow, and we did.
Yeah, so with one more performance out of 4 to go, we hope that we'll be asked back next year. We didn't get asked back. Oh,
No,
well.
It's okay. We were really young. We were really young and new and learning a lot of things. And I'm really glad that they felt comfortable enough to even say anything to us. I think sometimes people would just be like, we're never having them again, and then just like cancel
that's
situation.
it.
Yeah, so.
No, I think it was because like the show went well and the kids really loved it, but they had like a couple of minor concerns. That could spiral out of control. And they wanted to be like, yo, we got you guys in for 4 performances. You gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
So we did. We took a note. Sometimes you gotta take a note.
Yes.
That was the big teachable moment, was like, if somebody who knows what they're talking about says, hey, this is an issue, you gotta take them seriously and figure it out. And then we took that show. It was like the impetus to create a new show out of the ashes of the old one, and it was better and stronger, and everyone knew what we were doing because it was like they're familiar with that story.
Yes, nobody really wants you to write a new story. They want to hear the story that they know. And I think the big lesson that we had learned over the years is that every story that is like a folk tale or something that's within the general consciousness of a people, it has an essence, and that you need to maintain that essence in order for that story to still be that story. So if you're going to tell the story of Rapunzel, like, there needs to be some kind of enclosed high up structure. There needs to be some long hair. And there needs to be a woman who's keeping the person with long hair away from society, right? Like and it climbs the hair. Somebody, maybe it's not even a woman, but somebody climbs the hair and keeps that person away from society. That is the essence. Those gender roles can be changed. The thing that person is being confined in can be changed, but it still needs to be high up, and the hair needs to be long. Like, that is Rapunzel. You take one of those things away, you no longer have Rapunzel, and you are not allowed to call it Rapunzel. And if you do, people will be upset because they'll say, it's missing the thing. I came here to see the hair, the tassel, the what, the this, the that. Mm-hmm. So those are the things that we've learned. So whenever we're creating a new show, we always think about, well, okay, so what's the essence of the show? And we kind of write it out. All right, these are the things that we have to include. And then what do we want to include? And then what do we want to bring to it to make it relevant for today and to make it fun and funny and something that we would enjoy performing?
Right. And then you write a script, and then when you actually try it out, none of it works. That's just part of the process. It's like, you're like, wow, the script is amazing. I love it. It says everything I want. It has like all of our hallmarks, all of the lessons that we learned over 10 years. And then you try it out and you're like,
Sometimes you get a hit.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Nick Anderson asks, how do you maintain essence while updating away from tropes that are outdated?
Sure, by acknowledging those tropes. You don't acknowledge twice, only acknowledge once. It's like, you can make choices. It's okay to change the ending, but you have to there always has to be three, and there has to be three pigs. Has to be a big bad wolf. Big bad wolf has to blow down the houses. Big bad wolf has to get his comeuppance in the end and not eat the third pig. You can do anything you want in between all those big gaps. And literally anything. You can change around what animals, right? There was this great book called the Big Bad Pig or something, and the Three Wolves. I mean,
the true story of the three little pigs told by a wolf.
You can change it around as long as you keep those core story elements in place. You can do whatever you want, and don't have old sexist tropes from the medieval times in your 2020 puppet piece.
No, it's not necessary to tell the story.
Yeah.
Although I've been thinking about doing a version of Cinderella, and so that will be some interesting discussions about how to make it, okay. But the fun parts of Cinderella are the stepsisters because they're so evil. So you want to keep that kind of character in it, but then make it funny, not make it so that you feel sad for the main character. You don't want to be too concerned for the main character because then it goes from being funny to being mean. And
for a kid's show.
Yes, for a kid's show. Yes. And so we want them to. I would want the evil characters of the stepsisters, which are basically the characters I'm most looking forward to performing. And the stepmother.
Just call it stepsisters.
to be to be obnoxious and to the point where they're such a character that they're ridiculous and funny because nobody is like that, and it's just so ridiculous. And then all you want to do is root for Cinderella.
I think my favorite iteration of the stepsisters that I've ever seen in a Cinderella show were but please tell me the performer's name, but it was a one woman Cinderella show at the New Vic. Shona Rep did it, and it's she was doing a solo performance. Cinderella's a 3-person puppet operated by one person. It's an amazing trick. And the stepsisters were just fancy shoes.
No, they were gloves.
Gloves? Were they gloves?
Gloves.
I thought they're shoes.
No,
you're right. Gloves. But they're just fancy gloves, just walking around and just harassing Cinderella and knocking stuff over. And that's all it needed to be.
Yep.
Was just something way fancier looking than her.
Yeah.
That just gave her a hard time.
Shona Rep from Scotland.
Yes.
I love her performances so much. She has such an eye for detail, and she always puts together such amazing shows with such a great team of people. She was one of the people early on that I saw that reminded me that, or really, I shouldn't even say reminded me because it was early on enough in my career that I would say drove home for me the fact that puppeteers, we oftentimes tend to feel like, well, nobody understands what we do, so I should just learn everything and then do everything by myself because nobody knows what I'm doing anyways. And instead, here's this woman from Scotland who is a solo performer, but she tours with a stage manager, and she has all these people who come in and help her with costuming and lights and puppet design and sets and stuff to help create her vision, create the show, and then she takes that when it's all completed and tours with it, and has done very well. And if you ever watch this, Shona, I've been so inspired by you and your work, and you are just awesome. That's all. And also, can I just say real quick that I think my mom and your mom are watching this, or at least they both were at one point, and happy Mother's Day. Just wanted to say that.
Thanks for birthing us.
No, happy
Look
Mother's
at what we
Day.
did.
We love you. Nick has another question.
Oh, yes.
Or a statement.
There's a PC version of Cinderella. I think I read that in middle school. Just throw that out. Take your PC version and get rid of it. You don't have to be you don't need to say things that offend people, let's say, but you don't have to tiptoe around certain subjects in a way that makes it feel like your children's show has no teeth. You need teeth. You need bangs in a children's show, especially in that, because if you don't feel the weight of the drama of the show, if there's no risk for Cinderella to leave the house and go out to the ball, then there's no tension.
Well, it's something has to be at stake, right? If we're going to do theater theory 101 here, you have to have something at stake. And there has to be a little bit of drama in your story to make it interesting. I love when Chad performs the Three Little Pigs, because anybody who's never seen our performance of the Three Little Pigs, the first time that the first pig gets eaten, the whole audience goes, oh, because this is a kid's show. They're pigs. It's, 2020 right now. Who is letting our children watch these pigs get eaten? And so he's performing it on Facebook and our 11 o'clock on Friday live stream. And there is a chat feed that has started from a couple of parents who are like, oh no, or oh gosh. And I just say, don't worry, everybody. Every good show has a little bit of drama.
Yeah.
Just stick with it.
It's funny because on the internet you can just close the window and be done. In a live show you're locked in, and it's a lot harder to leave. Let's say so I usually have that on my side where I'm just like, you can't leave. We're in this. Maybe you're going to be angry that I made that choice. But in the end, it turns out to be all good and okay.
Yeah, the pigs don't die.
Yeah.
The pigs don't die.
No.
And actually, there's very little death in any of our shows. And if there ever is death, it's funny death, if that's even a thing.
Who else dies? I guess Chicken Soup.
In Chicken Soup, there's some death. And then there's also in Purim, isn't it? No.
Oh, those old Torah tales. There's got to be some death.
There was another, maybe we don't do that show anymore, whatever show it was. There was another death scene. But in Chicken Soup, which is a book, or is a show based on a book written by Pamela Pawlowski-Meyer.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
There is a death scene that we wrote into...
What's the Book of Ruth? There's a lot of death in the Book of Ruth.
We had to expand the story because just doing the book exactly as it's written is too short. So we needed to make it longer. And so we added the Book of Ruth, telling the story of Ruth. And
Ruth and Naomi.
Yes. And then we also added the story of Monkey King. And so in the Book of Ruth, there's a death scene, but we make it very funny. Oh, yeah, because Ruth's first husband dies. That's right.
Her whole family dies.
Well,
it was like,
the plague
or
something. Yes.
Yeah, plague wipes out
so
her
relative.
She marries.
Maybe that won't be funny anymore.
She marries into a Jewish family, and then they all die except her mother-in-law, and she has to decide if she wants to go back to being a princess or hanging out and being poor with her mother-in-law. And she chooses her mother-in-law. Happy Mother's Day. Yay.
She does choose her mother-in-law.
Hamot.
Yes, that's right. That's a good show. I really love that show, and I love performing it. We were supposed to, last weekend or the weekend before, be in Rochester, New York, performing it at the JCC and also the Brighton Library in Rochester, New York. But unfortunately, because of all the self-quarantining that's happening throughout the country and social distancing, we had to cancel, clearly. It would not be safe for us to travel anywhere right now. And if we did travel, we would have to self-quarantine for 14 days just to make sure that we weren't taking anything from New York City to someplace else. But someday we will perform that show again, and that will be so fun. Yeah.
I was trying to think, like, death in one of our shows. It's such like a touchy subject.
It's rare. So when we do it, you got to make it funny, you know?
Well, I mean, you have to take it seriously, but you can't just like write it off as like, oh, it was the silliest death, and then we're moving on. Like you have to like acknowledge the weight of it, you know, at least a little bit, because there's so much. I think I grew up in the 80s watching shows where I would just completely tune out or check out instantly because it felt like it wasn't real. It wasn't authentic. It was only when I started to be exposed to like adult shows where I was like, whoa, these actors are taking this really seriously, you know, and it's way more engaging. So I feel like no matter what's being presented, like the characters have to be 1,000% authentic and real, and if they're a scary character, you have to let some of that out in a way that, you know, you don't want to like mortify or, you know, terrify your audience, but at the same time you can't just saw off all the sharp edges you know, of your shows, and so I feel like we struck a balance in the Three Little Pigs of like we get to eat the pigs and be like, ha, gotcha, that's right. Eats the pigs, but then he vomits them out at the end, so it's all good.
Yeah.
So that's like riding the unicycle over the tightrope a little bit.
Yeah, the wolf moves on to other things. Like, he doesn't die either.
That's true. Yeah, we didn't murder the wolf because everyone loves the wolf. I think that was a lesson. I don't know if it's in the book, but like, your villainous characters are dynamic and fun to perform, and so the kids are really gonna like them. So don't kill them, don't murder them. So if we do Cinderella, you can't kill off the stepsisters.
Well, have them transform a little bit, or just have them go off to. In Little Red Riding Hood, which is a show we used to perform, we don't do it anymore. The wolf fell down a well, and then sometimes the kids would ask, "Well, what happened to the wolf?" And we'd say, "What do you think?" And then they would tell us. So sometimes they'd say he never came back. Sometimes they'd say, you know, he went on to other journeys.
I think we would say we didn't see the wolf again for a long time, or something like that.
A very long time. Yeah, something like that. It was just alluded to whatever people wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Can we talk for a second about New York City?
Please.
I just want to mention, because part of the podcast is puppetry, and another part is parenting, but then another part is just the fact that we are living in New York City, and things here are cray-cray. It's like a little hard to be here right now. We can't really leave our apartment. There's nowhere to go. And one of the things that's very concerning this week is that there is something happening where kids are getting sick with symptoms that are presenting like Kawasaki disease. And that's and they are all testing positive as well for COVID-19. So they don't know if there's any relation between that, but that's happening here in the city. And as of today, there were 80 cases of that. So when they were before saying it doesn't affect kids, now it's like, oh, actually, it looks like maybe it does. So it's just a reminder that we don't really know anything about this disease, you know, and anybody who says that they know what they're talking about, they don't know what they're talking about. You know, scientists are just starting to learn about all of this. And so, you know, we're doing the very best that we can to stay healthy, to not get sick. And the thing that's crazy is that we still don't know if we ever had it or not. That's the thing too, is until we can have an antibody test, we still have no idea if we ever had it, because it's quite possible that we had it and we're completely asymptomatic, and that our kids had it too. But I mean, hopefully we didn't, but we just don't know.
Right. I mean, there was like, I mean, Right, you just don't know. Like
just don't know.
I think everybody has like the last time I was at my job or the last time I was out and nobody cared. You think about like, did I get it then? I'm sure like a lot of people who got it were like, man, this one place,
Oh God.
that's probably where I picked it up or something. Like the last show that I did in a super poor neighborhood in the Bronx. I'm like, I mean, but I feel like you can't point fingers. At that point, it was like,
But it could have been any neighborhood.
Could be anything.
It could have been any place in New York City. It's not that it was a super poor neighborhood in the Bronx. It was that that happened to be the last show.
It was
that
the last.
you
It
did.
was the last time. So it was
But
like you pick it up from a door handle.
You could have said,
Anywhere.
like an elementary school in Staten Island. You could have said,
Yes.
a penthouse birthday party on the Upper East Side. It could have been anything. Would have been your last show.
Well, no, I say that because the outbreak has been affecting certain communities.
Yes, that's
in
true.
our city more than others.
Yes, there is a
So,
disproportionate amount of low income and people of color who are affected by this, for sure.
So I was at like the poorest neighborhood in the city. I'm the only white guy in there, and that was the last show that I did. So if I were to get sick, I'd be like, man, I hope those kids are okay, because if I got sick that day, like that was probably the beginning of that neighborhood getting sick.
I keep thinking back to my last day. March 12th, Thursday, March 12th was like my last day in society, I feel like. And I remember I had to go to a playground groundbreaking at Battery Park. And I was supposed to...
Ridiculous.
It feels it a little, but at the time, people were still doing things, right? And I had an obligation because my dear friend, Wari Price, it has been her dream to open this playground. And I should really email her, to remember to email her and tell her that it was so nice to be there that day, even though it was crazy. And I hope that she's okay. But it's been her dream to get this playground built for Battery Park. And so it was a groundbreaking. I was supposed to bring a puppet. I was so excited. But here's the thing, is that day was so crazy that I couldn't get to the office to get the puppet, because there was so much happening with like trying to decide, are we even bringing the kids to school today? Right? And then there was a big back and forth between me and Chad and calling the head of our kids' school and then deciding, okay, we'll bring them to school, stop freaking out. It's going to be okay. We drop them off. And then I go directly from there to the groundbreaking, and I feel so uncomfortable on the subway. I remember being on the subway and being like, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. And then I got to the thing, and as I'm walking to Battery Park, I realize, oh my God, I forgot the puppet. Now, it's not like I was the only puppet or that I was hired to be a puppeteer. I had just promised my friend, whose like dream thing is happening, that I would bring a puppet for some photo ops, because a lot of the puppetry companies that she had contacted who do these larger spectacle things couldn't come that day for various reasons, like seasonal, they weren't in operation right now, or they had other obligations or whatever. So I got there, I'm feeling bad, and I'm seeing people starting to gather, and I'm just like, I can't. And even people like doing elbow bumps, I'm just like, nope, stay away from me. Like I was really starting to feel my anxiety going tick, 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 tick. And then right after that show, I go into the office, I work for a couple hours, and then I have my tax appointment with our accountant, Eve, who we love so much. So I had to go on the subway again, back into the city, into Manhattan from Queens. And the whole time I'm like, oh God, oh God, oh God. I get off at 34th Street, walk all the way over to Madison Square area. I get into her office and I'm like, I have to wash my hands. And she's like, okay. She's so calm about it, and I just go in, I wash my hands. She like gave me her like nice soap, because my hands at that point, I've been washing my hands so much back then that they were getting like dry and like itchy. And And then I remember talking to Eve and doing our taxes with her, going over everything. And during that conversation, I got a text saying that Broadway was going dark. And I was like, Eve, I really just don't think that things are going to be okay. And she's like, everything's going to be fine. She was like this like calm vibe, trying to keep me calm, because I was definitely like going, And I remember calling Chad and saying, I'm getting home. I'm taking the car and I'm going grocery shopping and I'm getting everything I need from work. And then I'm coming home and I'm never leaving. And Chad was like, yeah, okay, if that's what you need to do. And that's what I did. And I went home and I got the car and I went right to Food Bazaar, which is right down the street from our offices for the foundation. And I parked because they have a huge parking lot and it was busy, but I was able to find a parking spot and get a cart, and I filled that cart up. But then I waited in line for 2 hours to check out, and the lines went all the way back into the aisles and wound around. You couldn't even see the checkouts, and the only thing that was distancing you from other people was your cart. And so you just stay next to your cart, behind your cart. That is your distance. And I was just like, don't touch anything. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your face. Because this is just during a time. It's crazy to think that this was 2 months ago. But they were telling us not to wear masks. Remember that?
Right, because the doctors needed them, and there
the
was a
doctors
shortage.
needed the mask. And if you're somebody that's wearing a mask when a doctor needed it, then you're a bad person.
Right.
So nobody had on masks. Hardly anybody had any kind of gloves on. You know, people are squirting Purell, you know, like all over things. And some people are like, oh, you have Purell? And then like people would like ask other people for Purell, you know, hand sanitizer. So I remember getting out of there and I'm leaving and I'm going to my car, which is in this underground parking lot. And this guy said, can I have your cart? And I was like, okay, sure. Because there are no carts left. Like, that's how many more people came into the store after I had already been in there.
Dang.
Because I got there around...
That is a cart pusher's dream, by the way.
But I got there around 4 o'clock, I think, or 3:30 on a Thursday.
It was after dinner by the time you got back.
It was late. And but then after that... I checked out. I got a car full of groceries. I've never spent that much on groceries in my life. And then I went to my office and I just got every single thing I could think of that I might possibly need for the next couple of months and just packed it all in. And then I texted my boss and I said, I'm working from home. And you know, she was very understanding because she was working from her space outside of New York City as well. But that day, I remember coming home and then still that anxiety. I haven't felt that anxious since, but that night I had like a total, like almost panic attack. You know, I was talking to friends at like midnight, just feeling like everything's going crazy. But then as things started to shut down and we had to, I think having to make the decision about whether or not to send the kids to school was one of the huge stressors that was happening. Yeah. Because it's so hard to know what is the right choice right now. If schools are still open, should we keep our kid from going to school? It was just so difficult because we kept going back and forth on it. And then once they made the decision for us, I remember Friday the 13th was the last day they went to school. We picked them up. They wanted to do the donuts. We usually get donuts on Fridays. And then we had to say, no, we can't go into the donut place because we can't go in any place because we don't want to be around people. It's too tight. Like the Dunkin' Donuts here is like a, it's a hallway.
It's like a tiny little room.
Yeah, it's a hallway. It's like, you know, the virus's best thing ever. It would be like everywhere on everything, you know. There's no air circulation. It's just donuts and ice cream. So, if, you know, I had to tell the kids, like, can't get donuts. Oh, that was a whole thing. It was a beautiful day. All these people are out. You know, you would never have known. And then that weekend, that's when the ordinance came. I was at Sunday. It was the Sunday right before school on Monday. No more school. And I just remember that relief. Oh, thank God. We don't have to make that decision. Even though I knew it would be hard having them home all the time, but I also knew that we could do that. But the not knowing and then putting them into school and then out of school, oh God, it's just crazy. That was one of the most stressful times for me, was mid-March, when it felt like I was going crazy because I wanted everything to shut down and everything wasn't shutting down. So now that everything is shut down, it makes me feel a lot more calm, like it's okay because the chances of us getting it are so much lower. But then as I hear about things opening up, and then also I hear about this Kawasaki thing happening with these young kids, and they don't know anything about it or why, it's distressing. That's distressing. So that's where I'm at with it right now.
We're distressed.
I wouldn't say that I'm in panic mode, but it's a little... It's a little much. Yeah. I'm looking here to see. We have some friends watching. My old Girl Scout leader is watching, Mary Anita. Hi, Mary Anita. I want you to know that I sing the Girl Scout camp songs to my kids all the time. One of them loves them. The other one hates them. So I think that that's pretty good, 50-50. And I really appreciate that you taught me all of those songs at camp all the time.
She was singing Baby Shark to our kids before it was cool.
I was.
Before it became cool again.
I was. And you should know that Finn loves the Way Up in the Sky, the Little Birds Fly song, the one that we would wake up all the leaders with. Loves it. He thinks it's the funniest thing on the planet. So.
Yay. And I know that Christine Cox in the comments shared a story about a magician getting sick, which is just the worst,
she said that there was a... we know a magician who did a magic show at the end of February in New Rochelle, and he got COVID. There are 125 people at that party, and 100 of the guests all came down with it.
That's nuts, man.
So, yeah. And then Vanessa's saying, because Vanessa's based out of the Seattle area, that her and Dan went through all that at the end of February. Right, because Seattle was dealing with all of this before we were. So I can just imagine what that has felt like, being out there and dealing with it, and then seeing the rest of the country operate like as normal, and you guys are just like, don't you understand? Like, stuff's going down now.
That's what it's like in New York City, watching these armed protesters in Midwest states and like central USA states, feeling like, guys, you don't even have it bad. Like, hundreds of people are still dying every single day. Like, our neighbor across the street just died, you know? And, like our neighbor, a mom, who has a little girl just died.
Right. She's a mom of a first grader at the school across the street. And
it's just
and like, healthy. She was healthy. No underlying anything.
Like, we get it. It's like, hey, man, everyone's bankrupting. Like, our businesses that got bankrupted too. Like, all of our gigs, disappeared into the ether. We get it. But you can't take your AK-47 and go marching while people are dying for... It's like, you can't open up. Everybody has to stay on lockdown. Like, we're not even in lockdown. Like, our friends in Nepal are like, yo, we're in actual lockdown where if you show your face outside, the police are going to thump it, to make sure that we eradicate this virus. Like everyone's all working together. A lot of Asian countries are like, yo, everyone's doing their parts. The South Korea just opened back up, and it was like, nope, too early, because people started to get it again. But like, you can't reopen anything right now. You're just asking for more death.
Well, can I tell you, I'm going to sound maybe to some people like a little bit of a crazy conspiracy person right now.
Okay.
But you know what?
Tinfoil hat me.
Yes. I understand that I might sound a little extreme in a sense that I am not an extreme person, but this situation has made me more extreme, and it feels like the federal government does not care about us, and is okay with us dying. Like, that's what it feels like, because they're just saying, you know what? We're good. We're done. We're done dealing with this. It's the states can deal with it, and we're just going to try to open up the country. And you know what? I'm the president, and I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm just not. Even though that's like the thing. That is one of the number one things that we could be doing to help not spread this around. And he refuses. And the people who are being most affected by this are older people, the people who vote for him. So I'm not saying that all old people vote for him. I'm just saying that I'm listening to NPR, and there's a big contingency of people who are older who vote for him, and these are the people who are getting negatively affected the most by this. I mean, it is tearing apart nursing homes. So I just can't understand the rationale other than, I don't know how to deal with this. It's making me look bad. I'm not going to get reelected, so I'm done. And if you guys die, who cares? Because you're in New York City and you're not going to vote for me anyway. And I moved out of New York City. So
well, what else? What else has changed? Nothing.
So I know, but it's just
the federal administration, all they've done is just dismantle, all their initiatives were to dismantle regulations and to undo anything the previous administration has done. They haven't done anything net positive besides give their friends money. All these bailouts, all these billions of dollars of bailouts that went to all these corporations that then laid off their employees. That was kind of shown as, we're gonna give you a free check, guys. Everybody gets $1,000, right? Instead, it's what reality was, we're gonna take all these hundreds of billions and just dump it into our friends' pockets so they can lay you all off.
But I think, instead of getting angry at the government, because there's nothing that we can do besides vote, we all have to vote and make sure that our vote counts. But the other thing that we can be doing is making sure that if you are somebody who has a voice within a community that is being negatively impacted in a really big way, that you can make sure that people are doing best practices, that people are being checked up on, that they have the things that they need. Because, in these lower income situations, you have people who are living in such close proximity to each other. Maybe they haven't gotten paid in 2 months. Maybe they're like us, still waiting for unemployment, still waiting for a PPP loan. We have all of these applications in. Have we gotten anything yet? No. The only thing we got is a small deposit from the economic...
Let's not go into our personal finances.
No, I'm not.
On our online show.
I'm not, but I'm just saying that if we are in that situation and we're okay, imagine somebody who's in a much worse situation who's not okay, and we need to be taking care of the people who need help to make sure that we can all get through this, so that the people who are left are not just rich people who could figure it out, who got to leave. You know what I mean? And that's not just about rich people. I just mean that I'm thinking so much about how low income communities are so much more affected, and that the Latino community and the African American community, it's and the Asian communities, these communities are being so negatively affected by this disease, and I just disproportionately so. It's really, hard. I worry about our city too, and I worry that then we're all in mourning right now. That's the other thing too. We're all in this collective grief period because the city that we knew and love is changing, and there's nothing that we can do about it. And yes, the city always changes, and yes, change always does come, but there are things that nobody was expecting to just all of a sudden all these things started to close, and then they might not ever come back. And when it does reopen, it's not going to be the same city that you left, and we didn't get to have a goodbye.
No, we're on tier 4 on our governor's reopen plan.
Oh,
it's number 1 are super essentials. Number 2 is stuff we could live without, and then way down on tier 4 are the arts, which it's fair enough. We can't go perform in front of a bunch of people the way that we did before. Who knows when they'll let us back into schools? Who knows when kids will get let back into schools? I mean, there's already people are drafting up plans for that kind of thing, teaching your kids how to properly, social distance in schools with masks and gloves, I guess, which seems weird, but it's we're not there yet. And the arts community, this is our new normal, is streaming. We're trying to be as the best streamers we can be. But it's encouraging to hear about people talking about okay, well, this is like this is the plan. When our governor said like, okay, these are the 7 things that each region has to have in place before we can think about reopening, or these are the 7 things, and it's like less new cases, hospitals reporting less deaths, and like all like 7 things. You can look them up on yourself. But New York City is nowhere near 7. Like, so there's a couple regions in New York State, like the Finger Lakes, I think, are like up to 5 out of 7. But even if you got up to 7 and you could reopen, would you? I mean, there's some states, for whatever reason, are easing back restrictions and letting businesses reopen, but nobody's going to those businesses unless you're some kind of like anti-quarantine extremist. Who wants to go to a restaurant, to a closed restaurant? There's a lot of restaurants operating like in driveways, and they're saying this is the new normal. 10 feet away from your table is everybody else, and pray to God that whoever's serving you food or making your food or delivering your food or in the meat packing plant or anywhere down the line didn't have it. So it's like there's so many things that are just like going to prevent us from going back to the way that things used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Man.
Big wah. And
it just sucks. It sucks. I mean, this whole situation is horrible. There have been some really bright things that have come out of it, and I'm really proud of us for and our puppetry community for being resilient and for being responsive to learning new things. I think that at the beginning it felt like, well, maybe it'll just be a few weeks, but for those who have really decided and realized that this is going to be more than a few weeks, it's going to be months and maybe years, that you have to learn what your business can look like now, and like what we can be doing to stay relevant, but then also provide a service for people. And so that's what we've been doing. We continue to do these daily workshops, which actually it is my bright spot when I get to do those workshops. I'm doing them myself Tuesday and Thursday next week, and I really look forward to doing that. Our theme this week, big animals. We're definitely doing a elephant on Monday and a whale on Thursday. So a whale. I'm going to do a whale on Thursday. So
and then we'll figure out everything else.
So I don't know what animal I'm going to do on Tuesday, and then Christina will do Wednesday and Friday, and then Jenny, the amazing Jenny Hahn, will be doing Saturday and Sunday. But it's a thing. We've been busy. Even today we did a show and a workshop, which has been very nice. And the thing that we want to be doing more of is birthday parties. So if you know anybody who has a special day coming up and they would like to have a special celebration with some puppets, some live puppet banter, maybe a puppet workshop afterwards, we would love to do that for you.
Yeah, it just feels good to perform. We've been busy, but not busy getting paid. It's like we've had things coming in, but it's not like it was. We were on track this year to hit 500 shows, which is great. And with a 5-person company, it's possible. And we're totally derailed from that. So I think just providing, I think like in my mind, like the last couple of weeks have kind of changed to thinking about like, oh man, all these shows that we did, like these paid performances are gone. Now I'm more just like, okay, if you think about your art as a public service, like a utility, what can you provide while you're just trying to get by? What are you doing that's helping everyone out, and how can you reach more people with that? In the streaming workshops that I do, I talk about monetization, but sometimes monetization during a quarantine where everyone's on unemployment isn't gonna happen the way that you want it to, let's say. Yeah.
But we would love to just continue to grow the base of people who know about us and know what we do. And, as things get better, it's going to get better for some people and stay the same for others. And for us, it's going to stay the same for a while, a lot longer than some other people. And so hopefully people will remember us when that happens. And think fondly about what we've been doing, and you know,
Think of me.
think of me fondly. So
Did you see the Avenue Q video?
I did.
Yay.
Yeah, I
Some of
did
your
see
old
that.
peeps.
Yeah, Avenue Quarantine.
Yes.
Yes, that was super fun. You can look it up on Facebook. They have it posted.
Like all these old cast members coming together
Mm-hmm.
to sing a remix of their old song.
There's also a really good one from Chorus Line of the last cast from the Chorus Line.
That's great.
It's really good.
Is it the I Think I Got It? Or I Want to Get It? Or how's it go?
It's a God, I hope I get it.
Yes.
Is the song? I don't think it was that one, but maybe it was that song. I just
God, I
you
hope
know
I don't
what?
get it.
Everything is like gets comes in and then gets deleted. But I just remember that I loved it. So that was a good one. Yeah.
Yay.
What do we have? Anything exciting coming up next week besides big animals as our theme for?
Big animals.
I thought it was a fun theme.
No, it's totally fun. So 11 o'clock on Friday, another puppet show, so get ready for that.
What's the show going to be? Have you decided
we,
yet?
we haven't announced it yet. We always
Oh.
announce it on Mondays.
On Monday.
So I get to think of that after
Tune
the show,
in.
actually, after this podcast. No, it's more just like we've gone through every one of our shows, so we're probably gonna cycle back to what we had done previously. And then just continue the cycle as normal.
Yeah.
Like kids watching reruns.
And we're going to hold on to our Christmas show until July.
Yeah.
So we can do a Christmas in July week.
Yeah. I've been having fun with these little doll heads, actually.
Who doesn't love some weird doll heads?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
really.
I was very interested in this Dolphy Dream head that I was like, you can't get the actual dimension. Well, you get the actual dimensions, but I was like, is it actually going to fit on my hand to be exactly the same size as the regular puppet heads? And it did. I think this is like a 1/3 scale or something like
It's
that.
smaller, but yeah.
It's small, and you can get some of these, the knockoff brands, you can get them cheap. So I'm very interested in bringing like a pre-made puppet head with like, our typical like toilet paper tube in the neck.
As a test,
jammed
right?
in there. I mean, just to have fun, and
Yeah.
also like if it's for like it's not for like a serious piece. It would be for like a slam piece, maybe.
Oh, for adults.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about
yeah.
slams.
But there's also like, I just love the look of this tiny baby head with a
So
huge neck. Hi.
This just looks weird.
Or you can do one of these too. And
For
just
those
change
of
it up
you
a
who
little
are
Kermit Crab.
listening, he's putting baby heads on his fingers.
That's right.
It looks
That's
weird.
what we do.
Yeah.
Thanks. All right. I think that's it, though. We're over an hour, yo. It's
know.
time to say good night.
Yes.
Good night, everyone. Happy Mother's Day.
You should watch the Seinfeld stand-up because it was really funny.
Oh, that's what
The
we did.
new one on Netflix.
So it's what we did last night.
It was
It's good.
really funny.
It's good.
Yeah. Tell us some funny things that we should be watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't say Tiger King. We've already watched it. Or the Chicago Bulls documentary. We're not that into basketball.
Funny. We want funny. So that's going to help.
So we are the Puppet Parent Podcast. You can check
Yay.
out our old episodes. Let me tell you where. Over here. Hold on a second. Let me,
If you're watching.
There it is. Yeah, if you're watching, but I'll read them to you. We are on Spotify, on Overcast, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, Breaker, Anchor. You can download our MP3s over at puppetparentpodcast.com. You can also see cute photos of us. Look at that.
Aw, look how happy we are. We're outside.
I think that was in
There's a
between kids,
stage.
right?
Something.
That was like 20.
We look slightly refreshed.
2017.
Showered.
Yeah.
All the things. I'm not even wearing my glasses there.
Well, it's because you don't. Whenever you have to take a serious photo, you take your glasses off.
Well, you know what? Sometimes with photographers, they're like, take off the glasses because of the glare thing. So,
Yeah.
But this is real me. Glasses.
No.
What's up?
So thanks everybody for watching and tuning in. This is like our one chance to kind of like weekly, just like bleh,
all
just
our
like
friends
get
are
it
saying
out
they
there.
miss us. We miss you guys too.
Aw.
We miss you too, Vanessa and Stefano, and I feel like the romper room lady.
Christine
I
and-
see in my magic mirror. I see Gina and Stefano and Vanessa. I see Nick and Christine.
And
I
Nancy.
see Nancy. Hi, Nancy. Nancy. Someday we'll go to the Grand Canyon together. All these
Yeah.
inside jokes. All right. We love you guys, though, and we're happy to keep doing this every week, every Sunday at 9 p.m. It's a nice little check-in for us, and it's kind of also like a little time capsule. That,
it's
you
kinda
know,
like a
Chad
journal.
had a journal from 10 years ago. We will have this
thing-
podcast 10 years from
Thing is
now.
full. We're gonna read. You're gonna keep reading these because these are fun. Fun to look back at 10 years ago.
It's cringeworthy for me, but I'm glad that he thinks it's fun. I'm like, forget it. Forget everything that happened in the past.
If you want to hear more from 10 years ago, because I think that's why I did the journal, but if you want to hear more from 10 years ago, drop us comments or make sure to share this video if you share
And
this video.
like the video.
Or tell other
Give us
people that we
hearts.
exist.
Yes.
There are many
Oh, you know what? Can I make a request for my virtual Mother's Day present?
What is
Because it's
it?
Mother's Day. Go to our Facebook page and leave a review of our puppet company.
Oh yeah, that's
That
very
would be
important.
a wonderful virtual Mother's Day present to me from you, and I will be so thankful from the bottom of my heart, because we have like a bunch of reviews on Google, and who is using Google right now? Not that many people. I feel like everybody's on social media. So if you could leave us a review, that would really help. Okay? And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers again out there. We love you all so much.
Okay, this is me awkwardly clicking the button. We'll see
This
you
is
guys
me
next
waving
week.
from behind Chad's awkward arm.
Bye.